The metallic snip of scissors slicing through Aurora Winter's platinum ponytail echoed through the chemistry lab like a gunshot, but it wasn't the sound that made my blood run cold. It was Tyler Morrison's triumphant laughter as he held up her severed hair like a trophy, completely unaware that he'd just awakened something dangerous in the quietest girl at Westfield High. 3 male athletes cornering 1 female honor student in an empty classroom after school should have been the end of her story. But what happened next would send Tyler sliding across the hallway floor and straight into the principal's office if he could still walk. Before we dive into this intense conclusion, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who's been following Rory's journey. Your comments on part 1 were incredible. So many of you shared your own experiences with bullying, and it's clear this story resonates deeply. If these stories help even one person find their strength, then they're worth telling. And hey, if you want to support more content like this, that thanks button below really does help me create more stories that matter. Every contribution, no matter how small, goes toward bringing more of these important narratives to life. Now, let's see how our Ice Queen finally claims her crown. The autumn afternoon at Westfield High School started like any other Tuesday at 2:47 p.m., with Aurora Rory Winters solving advanced calculus problems on the whiteboard while other students packed up their belongings. Her ice blonde hair caught the fluorescent lights as she worked, thick glasses sliding down her nose every few seconds. At 17, Rory had perfected the art of invisibility oversized hoodies, downcast eyes, and a voice so soft, teachers constantly asked her to speak up. Look at the math freak showing off again. Tyler Morrison's voice boomed from the back of the classroom. The 18-year-old football captain lounged in his seat, muscled arms crossed over his Letterman jacket. His cronies, Jake Davidson and Connor Mitchell, snickered on cue. Mrs. Henderson, the calculus teacher, had already left for her weekly department meeting, leaving the stragglers to filter out on their own. Rory's hand never stopped moving across the board, each number precise and elegant. "Hey, Ice Queen," Tyler called out louder. "I'm talking to you." Maya Rodriguez, Rory's only friend, touched her shoulder gently. "Come on, let's just go," she whispered, dark eyes darting nervously toward the back row. But Rory was lost in her equations, finding peace in the logical flow of numbers that never mocked or threatened. She added another line to her proof, chalk dust coating her fingertips. The screech of chair legs against linoleum made both girls flinch. Tuller stood up, all 6'3" of entitled masculinity, and stalked toward the front of the room. Jake and Connor flanked him like hyenas following a lion. "I said I'm talking to you." Tyler's hand shot out and grabbed Rory's ponytail, yanking hard enough to pull her head back. The chalk clattered to the floor as Rory stumbled, catching herself against the board. Her glasses went askew, and for a moment, the classroom tilted sideways. "Tyler, stop!" Maya stepped forward, but Connor blocked her path. "What's wrong?" "Rodriguez, can't your little friend speak for herself?" Connor sneered, using his bulk to intimidate the petite girl. Tyler maintained his grip on Rory's hair, twisting it slightly. "You know what your problem is, nerd? You think you're better than everyone else, walking around here with your perfect grades and your stupid equations like you own the place." Rory's hands trembled as she reached up to adjust her glasses, still not meeting his eyes. "Please let go," she whispered. "What was that?" "Can't hear you." Tyler pulled harder, forcing her to arch her back. "I said let go." The words came out stronger this time, surprising everyone, including Rory herself. Tyler released her hair with a shove that sent her stumbling into Maya's arms. "Or what? You gonna solve me to death?" The 3 boys laughed as they swaggered out of the classroom, Tyler pausing at the door to deliver his parting shot. "Better watch yourself, Ice Queen. This school has a social hierarchy, and you're at the bottom." After they left, Maya helped Rory gather her scattered belongings. "We should report this," she said firmly. Rory shook her head, fingers massaging her scalp where Tyler had grabbed her. "It'll only make things worse. His dad practically owns half this town." "But Rory, I'm fine." "Maya, really?" She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I just want to go home." But home offered little refuge. The small apartment Rory shared with her mother sat above a 24-hour diner, perpetually filled with the smell of grease and coffee. Her mother, Sarah Winters, worked double shifts at the hospital to keep them afloat after the divorce, leaving Rory alone most evenings. That night, Rory stood before her bedroom mirror, pulling her long platinum hair into its usual ponytail. The reflection staring back at her looked fragile, breakable. She thought of Tyler's grip, the helplessness of being physically overpowered, and her jaw clenched. From beneath her bed, she pulled out a worn duffel bag and headed to the one place where she didn't feel weak. Kim's Taekwondo Academy occupied a narrow storefront between a dry cleaner and a tax office. At 8 p.m., the adult class was just beginning, and Rory slipped in through the back entrance. She'd been training here secretly for 3 years, paying for lessons with money earned from tutoring. Not even Maya knew about this part of her life. Aurora, Coach Daniels, a former Marine with graying temples, nodded as she entered. "You're late." "Sorry, Coach. Long day at school." His sharp eyes noticed the tension in her shoulders, the way she held herself. "Everything all right?" "Yes, sir." She bowed and took her place on the mat, the white belt she wore for appearances, hiding her true skill level. Coach Daniels had offered to test her for her black belt multiple times, but Rory always declined. Recognition meant visibility, and visibility meant danger. For the next hour, she lost herself in the familiar rhythms of forms and sparring. Her body knew these movements by heart, the devastating power of a well-placed kick, the satisfaction of perfect technique. Here, her glasses came off, and her true self emerged. Controlled, powerful, dangerous. Remember, Coach Daniels called out during sparring practice, "True strength isn't about domination, it's about protection. We learn to fight so we don't have to." Rory executed a flawless 360-degree spinning kick, her partner barely managing to block it. The move was her specialty, combining grace with devastating force. She'd practiced it thousands of times until it became as natural as breathing. After class, Coach Daniels pulled her aside. "You're holding back again." "I'm just trying to be careful." "No." He cut her off gently. "You're afraid. There's a difference between control and fear. Aurora, one makes you strong, the other makes you a victim." His words haunted her on the walk home. Was she being smart or just scared? The line between wisdom and cowardice seemed thinner every day. Wednesday brought new torments. Tyler and his crew had apparently decided to make Rory their special project. It started small, a shove in the hallway that sent her books scattering. A accidentally spilled sports drink on her homework during lunch. Each incident carefully calculated to humiliate without leaving evidence. "Just ignore them," Rory muttered to herself, gathering soggy papers from the cafeteria table while the surrounding students pretended not to notice. The whistleblowing culture at Westfield High was non-existent. Reporting bullying was social suicide, especially when it involved star athletes. But ignoring became impossible during fifth period, when Tyler orchestrated his cruelest move yet. Rory had just settled into her seat in AP Chemistry when Jake accidentally bumped into her desk, sending her backpack tumbling. As she bent to retrieve it, something white caught her eye. Her Taekwondo uniform, pulled from her locker and stuffed into her bag, with her competition medals pinned mockingly to the front. Well, Tyler's voice rang out as he snatched the uniform before she could react. "Look what the nerd's been hiding." The class turned to stare as Tyler held up the dobok, the medals glinting under the lights. "Our little ice queen thinks she's a ninja." Laughter rippled through the room. Rory's face burned as she reached for her uniform, but Tyler danced back, holding it high above his head. "Give it back," she said, voice steady, despite her racing heart. "Or what?" Tyler grinned, enjoying the power play. "You gonna carrot chop me?" More laughter. Even some of the usually neutral students were smirking now. The social hierarchy demanded their compliance. "Please." The word tasted bitter in her mouth. "Just give it back." Tyler pretended to consider it, then shook his head. "Nah, but tell you what, meet me in the gym after school. Show everyone these sick moves of yours, and maybe I'll return your little costume." I said give it. After school. Gym. Don't chicken out. Ice Queen. He tossed the uniform to Connor, who stuffed it in his backpack. Unless you're all talk and no action, just like with everything else. The rest of the day passed in a blur of anxiety. Word spread quickly through Westfield's efficient gossip network. Tyler Morrison had challenged the weird math girl to a fight. By last period, bets were already being placed. You can't seriously be thinking about going, Maya said as they stood by Rory's locker after the final bell. If I don't, it'll never stop. Rory carefully placed her books inside. Movements precise and controlled. Rory? He outweighs you by at least 80 pounds. This is exactly what he wants to humiliate you in front of everyone. I know. She closed her locker with a soft click. But I can't keep running. Maya, I'm tired of being afraid in my own school. The gym was already packed when they arrived. Word had spread beyond just the students. Rory spotted several teachers, pretending they just happened to be walking by. The adult supervision should have made her feel safer, but their willful blindness to the situation only emphasized how alone she was. Tyler stood in the center of the basketball court, still in his Letterman jacket, surrounded by his teammates. He'd turned this into a full performance, complete with an audience primed for blood. Look who actually showed up, he called out as Rory entered. Didn't think you had it in you? Ice Queen. Rory stopped at the edge of the court. Maya beside her. I'm here. Now give me back my uniform. Eager to change? Tyler smirked. Tell you what you wanted back so bad. Come and take it. The crowd pressed closer. Phones already out and recording that is. This was premium content for Westfield High's social media feeds. Ethan Chen pushed through the crowd, his student council president badge glinting. This is enough. Tyler, you've made your point. Back off. Chen. Jake stepped forward menacingly. This isn't your business. Actually, it is. Ethan stood his ground, though he was clearly outmatched physically. As student council president, Tyler's shove sent Ethan stumbling backward into the crowd. I said back off. The momentary distraction was all Rory needed to assess the situation. 3 opponents, all bigger and stronger. A hostile crowd that would offer no help, teachers who would claim they saw nothing, and somewhere in Connor's backpack, her uniform. The one piece of evidence that connected her to the strength she'd worked so hard to hide. You know what? Rory stepped onto the court, removing her glasses and handing them to Maya. Let's get this over with. Tyler's grin widened. Now we're talking. Come on then. Ninja girl. Show us what you got. He lunged forward with the graceless aggression of someone who'd never faced real opposition. Rory sidestepped easily, muscle memory taking over. Tyler stumbled past her, nearly losing his balance. The crowd laughed, but it was nervous laughter now. Something in Rory's movement, the fluid grace of her dodge, suggested this might not go as expected. Lucky move. Tyler snarled, ego bruised. He came at her again, this time with more caution. Rory continued to evade, each movement minimal and efficient. She could end this quickly. A simple sweep would put Tyler on his back, but Coach Daniel's words echoed in her mind. We learn to fight so we don't have to. Stop running! Tyler's frustration mounted with each missed grab. The crowd was growing restless, some starting to mock him instead of her. I'm not running, Rory said quietly. I'm giving you a chance to stop. I don't need chances from you. He lunged again, this time managing to grab her wrist. The moment his hand closed around her arm, everything changed. The controlled calm Rory had maintained shattered as muscle memory kicked in. She twisted her wrist in a classical taekwondo escape, breaking his grip and creating distance. Last warning, she said, voice carrying a new edge. Walk away. But Tyler was beyond reason now. His masculinity challenged in front of his peers. He charged like a bull, both arms extended to grab her. This time, Rory didn't evade. She pivoted on her left foot, body rotating with practiced precision. Her right leg swept up and around in a perfect arc, the 360-degree spinning kick she'd perfected over countless hours. Her heel connected with Tyler's solar plexus with devastating accuracy. The impact lifted him off his feet. For a moment, Tyler seemed to hang in the air, eyes wide with shock. Then physics took over. He flew backward, shoes squeaking against the polished floor as he tried to find purchase, but momentum carried him sliding across the court like a hockey puck, finally coming to rest in a crumpled heap against the far wall. The gym fell silent. Tyler groaned, trying to sit up and failing. The mighty football captain, laid out by a girl half his size. The social hierarchy of Westfield High tilted on its axis. "My uniform," Rory said calmly, not even breathing hard. "Now." Connor's hands shook as he fumbled with his backpack, pulling out the white dobok and practically throwing it at her. Jake helped Tyler to his feet, both of them backing away, as if Rory might attack again. But she simply took her uniform, folded it carefully, and walked back to Maya. The crowd parted before her like the Red Sea. "This isn't over," Tyler wheezed, clutching his stomach. "You're dead. You hear me? Dead." Rory paused at the gym door, looking back over her shoulder. Without her glasses, her ice-blue eyes seemed to pierce right through him. "No, Tyler, it's just beginning." As she and Maya left the gym, Rory could hear the explosion of voices behind them: shock, awe, disbelief. Videos were already being uploaded, shared, spreading like wildfire through the school's digital ecosystem. Maya seemed at a loss for words. "How did you—" "I'll explain later," Rory said. Putting her glasses back on, the familiar weight helped her feel centered again. "Right now, I just want to— Aurora Winters." They froze as Vice Principal Harrison's voice boomed down the hallway. The older woman stood with her arms crossed, face stern. "My office." Now, as they followed the vice principal, Rory caught sight of Ethan Chen leaning against a locker, phone in hand. He gave her a subtle nod and mouthed silently, "Got it all." The vice principal's office smelled of coffee and disappointment. Harrison sat behind her desk, fingers steepled as she studied Rory over her reading glasses. "Fighting on school property is grounds for immediate suspension," she began. "I was defending myself," Rory said quietly. "Tyler challenged me, grabbed me. I'm aware of Mr. Morrison's involvement." Harrison's lips pursed. "However, you clearly have training that you've failed to disclose. That kick could have seriously injured another student." "But it didn't," Maya interjected. Rory showed incredible restraint. She gave him multiple chances to stop. "Miss Rodriguez, please wait outside." After Maya reluctantly left, Harrison leaned back in her chair. "Do you have any idea the position you've put this school in? Tyler Morrison's father is our biggest booster. He donated the new scoreboard, funds, half our athletic programs, so I should have just let his son assault me?" Rory's voice carried an edge of steel. "I'm not saying that." Harrison rubbed her temples. "I'm saying this situation is complicated. Tyler will likely face some consequences. But you, that level of martial arts skill makes you a liability." "A liability?" Rory couldn't believe what she was hearing. "I'm a liability for knowing how to protect myself? The school has a zero-tolerance policy, which apparently doesn't apply to football players who corner female students." The words came out sharper than intended, but Rory was past caring. Harrison's face darkened. "What's your tone? Miss Winters, I'm trying to help you here. Go home for the rest of the day. We'll discuss your future at this school tomorrow morning, and I strongly suggest you come with a parent." Rory stood, chair scraping against the floor. "My mother works double shifts to keep us fed. She doesn't have time for meetings about your double standards." She left before Harrison could respond. Collecting Maya from the hallway, they walked in silence until they reached the parking lot, where a small crowd had gathered around someone's phone, watching what could only be the gym footage. 3 million views already? Someone whispered. "It's gone viral." The Ice Queen kicks back. Another student read from their screen. "This is insane." Rory pulled her hood up, trying to disappear, but it was too late. Students who'd never noticed her before now stared openly, some with admiration, others with fear. The invisibility she'd cultivated for years had shattered with one perfectly executed kick. "Come on." Maya guided her toward the bus stop. "Let's get out of here." As they waited for the bus, Rory's phone buzzed with an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. "Hello? Miss Winters, this is Arthur Morrison." Tyler's father. Rory's blood ran cold. Mr. Morrison, I've seen the video, he interrupted, voice smooth as aged whiskey. Quite impressive. Actually, that kick? Professional level. Which makes me wonder, how does a 17-year-old girl from a broken home afford that kind of training? I don't know what you... I make it my business to know everything about people who hurt my son. Miss Winters. Everything. Your mother's shifts at the hospital. Your address above that rundown diner. Your secret trips to that gym 3 nights a week. Maya grabbed Rory's arm, alarmed by her pale face. Are you threatening me? Rory asked, voice barely above a whisper. Threatening? No. No. I'm a businessman. Miss Winters. I'm simply laying out facts. My son made a mistake today. Let his temper get the best of him. Boys will be boys. But you? You deliberately humiliated him with skills you've been hiding? That suggests premeditation. That's not. I'll be speaking with the school board tonight, and my lawyers, and probably the police. Assault with a deadly weapon, yes. Trained feet, Countess. A serious charge. But I'm sure your mother can afford a good defense attorney on a nurse's salary. The line went dead. Rory stared at her phone, hands shaking for the first time all day. She'd won the fight, but might have just lost everything else. What did he say? Maya demanded. He knows where I live, where my mom works. Everything. The words came out hollow. He's going to destroy us. The bus arrived, but Rory didn't move. Somewhere behind them, she could hear students still talking about the video, about her kick, about how everything would be different now. But all she could think about was her mother coming home exhausted from another 16-hour shift to find their lives in ruins. There has to be something we can do, Maya said desperately. The video shows Tyler started it. His dad owns judges. Maya, he owns half the town council. The video won't matter if he decides to. Miss Winters? They turned to find Ethan Chen approaching, still holding his phone. Behind him walked a woman in an expensive suit who looked like she ate corporate lawyers for breakfast. This is my aunt, Jennifer Chen, Ethan said. She's a civil rights attorney specializing in educational discrimination and Title IX violations. The woman extended her hand to Rory. I've been watching your case develop all day. Miss Winters, what happened in that gym? That's textbook sex-based harassment escalating to assault. The fact that the administration is more concerned about Mr. Morrison's donations than your safety? That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I can't afford, Rory began. Pro bono. Jennifer Chen smiled sharply. I've been waiting for a case like this. Arthur Morrison thinks his money makes him untouchable. I'd very much like to prove him wrong. Hope flickered in Rory's chest, but doubt quickly smothered it. He'll come after my mom, our home. Let him try. Jennifer pulled out a business card. I've already filed an emergency injunction preventing any retaliatory action against you or your family. I've also contacted the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights. Turns out, Westfield High has quite the history of sweeping gender-based violence under the rug. Ethan stepped forward, looking uncharacteristically serious. I've been documenting everything. Rory, not just today. Tyler's been targeting female students all year. You're just the first one who fought back. Why didn't you say anything before? Maya demanded. Because nobody would testify. Everyone's too scared of the Morrisons. He held up his phone. But now, after what Rory did, 3 other girls have already contacted me. They want to come forward. The bus driver honked impatiently, but Rory barely heard it. The world was shifting beneath her feet. Everything she'd tried to avoid, suddenly unavoidable. This is going to get ugly, she said quietly. Jennifer Chen's smile was all teeth. Oh, honey, it already is. The question is whether you're going to be a victim or a victor. Rory thought of her mother's tired face, of Tyler's grip in her hair, of Coach Daniels saying, strength meant protection. She thought of all the girls who'd walked these halls with their heads down, afraid of catching the wrong attention from the wrong boy. When do we start? She asked. Right now. Jennifer was already typing on her phone. I need you to write down everything, every incident, every witness. Every time a teacher looked the other way. We're not just fighting Tyler Morrison. were taking on the entire culture that protected him. As they talked strategy, Rory's phone buzzed with another unknown number. This time, she let it go to voicemail. But the message that came through made her blood run cold. "You think you're tough? Ice Queen? That kick was nothing. Tomorrow, you're gonna learn what real pain feels like. And this time, there won't be any teachers around to save you." It wasn't Tyler's voice. It was deeper, older, angrier. She looked up to find Jennifer Chen watching her with knowing eyes. "Let me guess, threats are starting already?" Rory nodded, unable to speak. "Good." The lawyer's smile was predatory. "Keep recording them. Every threat is another nail in their coffin." But as night fell over Westfield, Rory couldn't shake the feeling that she'd awakened something far more dangerous than Tyler Morrison's ego. The video of her kick had gone viral, but fame was a double-edged sword. And somewhere in the darkness, that sword was being sharpened. The confrontation in the chemistry lab that would change everything was less than 18 hours away, and the Ice Queen's transformation was far from complete. The chemistry lab door slammed shut with a finality that made Rory's stomach drop, 3 muscled shadows blocking her only exit, while Tyler Morrison approached with scissors glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. His father's threats from last night, still echoing in her ears. "You humiliated me in front of the whole school," he snarled. "Jake and Connor flanking her like wolves circling prey. So now I'm going to take something you can't get back." The platinum ponytail she'd worn like armor for 3 years was about to become a casualty of war. But Tyler had no idea he was about to create his own destruction. Before we dive into this intense conclusion, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who's been following Rory's journey. Your comments on part 1 were incredible. So many of you shared your own experiences with bullying, and it's clear this story resonates deeply. If these stories help even one person find their strength, then they're worth telling. And hey, if you want to support more content like this, that thanks button below really does help me create more stories that matter. Every contribution, no matter how small, goes toward bringing more of these important narratives to life. Now, let's see how our Ice Queen finally claims her crown. Thursday morning arrived with an ominous weight. Rory had barely slept. Alternating between reviewing Jennifer Chen's legal documents and practicing her forms in the cramped living room, her mother had finally come home at 3 a.m., too exhausted to notice the worry etched on her daughter's face. The school parking lot buzzed with an electric tension. Videos of yesterday's kick had exploded across social media at 1 million views and climbing. News vans circled like vultures, reporters eager for a follow-up to the story that had captivated the internet. David versus Goliath in the digital age. One headline read, "Ice Queen awakens," proclaimed another. "This is insane," Maya muttered as they navigated through the crowd. Several students called out support, but just as many glared with hostility. Rory had disrupted the social order, and not everyone appreciated it. Inside, the hallways felt different. The usual clusters had reformed, but the invisible barriers seemed more porous. A sophomore girl Rory didn't recognize whispered, "Thank you," as she passed. A group of freshman boys scattered when she approached, fear replacing their usual bravado. "Miss Winters." Principal Thompson himself stood by her locker. His usually perfect suit, slightly rumpled. "My office?" Now, the walk felt like a funeral march. In the administrative suite, Rory found a crowd waiting, her mother still in scrubs. Jennifer Chen, Vice Principal Harrison, Arthur Morrison, in an Italian suit that probably cost more than Rory's entire wardrobe, and surprisingly, Coach Daniels in his civilian clothes. "Mom?" Rory's voice cracked slightly. "You're supposed to be sleeping. Jennifer called me." Sarah Winters looked exhausted but fierce. A mama bear ready to fight. "Why didn't you tell me what was happening?" Before Rory could answer, Arthur Morrison stood, his presence commanding the room. "Let's skip the dramatics. My son made a mistake. He's willing to apologize publicly. And I'm prepared to make a generous donation to the school's anti-bullying program. In exchange, Miss Winters drops any legal action and transfers to East Side High Bay. Everyone wins. Everyone except my daughter," Sarah said coldly. "Mrs. Winters," Miss Winters, Sarah corrected. And you can take your bribe and shove it? My daughter did nothing wrong. Jennifer Chen smiled. My client won't be transferring anywhere. Mr. Morrison. In fact, we're filing charges. Assault, harassment, conspiracy to commit battery. You have no proof of conspiracy. Morrison's lawyer, a sharp-faced man, interjected. Actually, Ethan Chen entered the office. Tablet in Hunt. We do. The video he played made everyone freeze. It showed Tyler in the locker room that morning, talking to someone off camera. Don't care what my dad says. That bitch is going down. After school, chemistry lab. Mr. Peterson always leaves early on Thursdays. Jake and Connor will make sure no one interrupts. The timestamp showed 7:23 a.m., 3 hours ago. Where did you get this? Morrison demanded. Your son posted it to his private story. Ethan said calmly. He forgot I was still on his close friends list from when we did that science project together. Jennifer Chen's smile was sharp. Premeditated assault. Conspiracy. And he was kind enough to provide video evidence. The FBI takes cyberbullying cases very seriously these days, especially when they cross state lines through social media. FBI? Harrison sputtered. This is a school discipline issue. Not anymore. Jennifer pulled out documentation. Given the pattern of gender-based violence at this school and the administration's documented failure to address it, this is now a federal investigation. The room erupted. Morrison threatened lawsuits. Harrison panicked about the school's reputation, and Thompson tried desperately to maintain order through it all. Rory sat quietly, her mother's hand gripping hers tightly. Enough. Coach Daniel's military command voice cut through the chaos. You're all missing the point. There's a student actively planning to assault another student today. What are you doing to prevent it? Tyler's been suspended pending investigation, Thompson said weakly. But not Jake or Connor? Coach Daniels shook his head. And what about the threat Rory received last night? The one from an adult male? Morrison's face went carefully blank. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Jennifer played the voicemail on speaker. The older, threatening voice filled the room. Because voice analysis is a wonderful thing. That's your brother. Marcus Morrison, the one with the assault record, the color drained from Morrison's face. You can't prove. I don't have to prove it in this meeting, Jennifer said smoothly. I just have to prove it to a jury. And juries love a good underdog story. As the adults argued, Rory felt the weight of exhaustion settling over her. She'd wanted to be invisible, to graduate quietly and escape to college. Now she was the center of a storm that showed no signs of calming. I need to go to class, she said quietly. Absolutely not, her mother said. We're going home. No. Rory stood, surprising everyone. If I run now, they win. I'm going to class. Thompson looked ready to object, but Jennifer cut him off. My client has every right to her education. Unless you're suspending her? Of course not, Thompson said quickly, aware of the legal minefield. As Rory left the office, Coach Daniels followed. Aurora, wait. She paused in the empty hallway. Coach? Tyler's suspended, but his friends aren't. Watch your back. And remember, we learn to fight so we don't have to. She finished. But what if they don't give me a choice? His weathered face was grave. Then you do what you must to survive. But Aurora? Try to survive with your soul intact. The morning passed in a blur of stares and whispers. Teachers who'd never noticed her suddenly knew her name. Students gave her a wide berth in the hallways, unsure whether she was hero or villain. During calculus, her safe space. Mrs. Henderson pulled her aside. I'm sorry, the teacher said quietly. I should have stayed Tuesday. I knew Tyler had been escalating, but I hoped. It's okay. Rory lied. No, it's not. Henderson's eyes were wet. I failed you. We all did. But I want you to know what you did yesterday. You gave a lot of us courage. The teachers are meeting tonight. Things are going to change. Chemistry class loomed after lunch like a storm cloud. Mr. Peterson, oblivious to the tension, assigned lab work as usual. Rory partnered with Maya, trying to focus on the experiment while her nerves screamed danger. At 2:15 p.m., Peterson glanced at his watch. I have a department meeting. You should have enough time to finish. Just leave your reports on my desk." He left, and the room's atmosphere shifted immediately. Jake and Connor hadn't been subtle about their presence all day, shadowing Rory between classes. Now they stood by the door, bodies blocking the exit. Other students quickly finished their work and fled, not wanting to be collateral damage. "Maya," Rory said quietly, "you should go." "Not a chance." Her friend's hands shook as she pretended to record data. "I'm not leaving you alone." The door opened, and Rory's heart sank. Tyler walked in, supposedly suspended, but clearly unconcerned with rules. His face bore the bruise from yesterday's kick, purple and yellow spreading across his jaw. "Surprise," he said, voice dripping venom. "Thought Daddy's lawyers had me locked down? Please, I own this school." "Tyler, don't do this," Rory said, backing toward the windows. "It's over. You've already lost." "Lost?" He laughed. A harsh sound. "You kicked me, humiliated me. My girlfriend dumped me. College scouts are reconsidering their offers. You ruined my life." "You ruined your own life?" Rory shot back, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. "I just refuse to be your victim." Tyler's face contorted with rage. From his pocket, he pulled out scissors sharp, gleaming lab scissors meant for cutting specimens. "You know what your problem is?" He advanced slowly. "Jake and Connor spreading out to cut off escape routes. That hair, walking around like some ice princess, thinking you're untouchable. Well, guess what? Everything can be touched. Everything can be broken." Maya fumbled for her phone, but Connor snatched it away. "No recordings this time. Tyler, please." Maya begged. "This is assault. You'll go to jail. Only if someone talks." His smile was cold, and no one ever talks. Rory's mind raced. 3 opponents, armed, with her backed into a corner. The windows were locked, the door blocked. Her phone was in her backpack across the room. No help was coming. "You want my hair?" She kept her voice steady. "Fine. Take it. Just let Maya go." "Rory." "No." Maya protested. "How noble." Tyler twirled the scissors. "But I don't think so. She's seen too much. Maybe she needs a haircut too." That was the line. Rory had endured the bullying, the threats, the humiliation. But threatening Maya, her only friend, the girl who'd stood by her through everything? "No," Rory said quietly. "No?" Tyler mocked. "You don't get to say no anymore." "I said no." The word exploded from her with 3 years of suppressed fury. In one fluid motion, she grabbed the nearest object-a-glass beaker and hurled it at the window. The safety glass spider-webbed, but didn't shatter, the sound echoing like a gunshot. "Crazy bitch!" Jake started forward, but Rory was already moving. She swept the entire chemistry setup off the lab bench, creating a barrier of broken glass and spilled chemicals. The acrid smell of mixed reagents filled the air as she positioned herself between the attackers and Maya. "You want to cut my hair?" Rory reached up and pulled the elastic from her ponytail, letting her platinum hair fall loose around her shoulders. "You'll have to go through me first." Tyler laughed. "That's the plan." He lunged with the scissors, a wild stab aimed at her hair. But Rory had spent 3 years preparing for this moment, even if she hadn't known it. She caught his wrist in a classical taekwondo grip, twisting until the scissors clattered to the floor. Her knee came up into his solar plexus, the same spot she'd kicked yesterday, and he doubled over wheezing. Jake charged from the left, but Rory was ready. She used Tyler's bent form as a launching point, pushing off him to deliver a flying kick that sent Jake crashing into a lab bench. Beakers shattered, and he went down in a shower of glass, and screaming, "Connor," seeing his friends defeated, made a crucial mistake. He went for Maya. Big error. Rory snarled. The rage she'd kept carefully controlled for 17 years erupted. She crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed Connor by his Letterman jacket, and used his own momentum to flip him over her hip. He hit the ground hard, air exploding from his lungs. But Tyler wasn't done. The scissors were back in his hand, and this time, he didn't announce his attack. The blade swept toward Rory's turned back, aimed at her flowing hair. "Rory!" Maya's scream pierced the air. Rory spun, but not fast enough. The scissors caught her hair, slicing through the platinum strands with a sick whisper. A foot of hair fell to the floor, the severed ponytail landing like a dead thing among the broken glass. Time stopped. Rory touched the ragged ends of her remaining hair, feeling the violation down to her bones. That hair had been her shield, her identity. The one thing she'd kept perfect in a life full of compromises. "Got you," Tyler panted, triumphant. Despite his pain, "How's it feel?" "Ice Queen, how's it feel to lose?" Rory looked at her severed hair. Then at Tyler's gloating face, something fundamental shifted inside her, like tectonic plates, realigning. The fear, the shame, the desperate need to be invisible, it all crystallized into something harder, sharper. "You know what?" she smiled, and Tyler's grin faltered. "It feels like freedom." What happened next would be debated in court documents and viral videos for months. Witnesses in the hallway swore they heard Tyler scream. The security footage was mysteriously corrupted, but Maya saw everything. Rory became poetry in motion. 3 years of training unleashed in 30 seconds of controlled fury. A spinning heel kick knocked the scissors from Tyler's hand. A palm strike sent him stumbling. When Jake tried to rise, she put him back down with an elbow to the shoulder. Connor, attempting to crawl away, found himself immobilized by a knee to his back. But the finale move that would define her legend was pure Aurora Winters. As Tyler staggered upright for one last attack, Rory took 3 running steps, planted her left foot, and launched into her signature move. But this wasn't the controlled kick from yesterday. This was war. Her body rotated through the air, a perfect 360-degree spiral. Her right leg extended like a compass drawing destruction. The kick connected with Tyler's chest, with the sound of justice arriving 3 years too late. He didn't just fall. He flew. Tyler's body lifted off the ground, sailing backward in an arc that defied physics. He slid across the chemical-slicked floor like a hockey puck on ice, past overturned benches and broken equipment, finally coming to rest against the far wall with a crash that shook the entire room. This time, he didn't get up. The door burst open. Principal Thompson, security guards, and half the teaching staff poured in. Finally responding to the chaos, they found Rory standing in the center of the destroyed lab, shorn hair wild around her face, surrounded by 3 groaning boys. "He cut my hair," she said simply, pointing to the severed ponytail on the floor. "So I cut him down to size." The aftermath was swift and decisive. The security footage from the hallway clearly showed Tyler entering the room while suspended, his friends standing guard. Multiple students testified they'd heard him planning the attack. The severed hair became evidence of assault with a weapon. Tyler Morrison, Jake Davidson, and Connor Mitchell were arrested on site. The images of them being led away in handcuffs, Tyler on a stretcher, still gasping, became almost as viral as the original kick video. Arthur Morrison's empire began crumbling within hours. Jennifer Chen, smelling blood in the water, had contacted every girl Tyler had ever harassed. By evening, 17 had come forward with stories spanning 4 years. The FBI opened an official investigation into systematic gender-based violence and institutional cover-ups. Marcus Morrison, Tyler's uncle, was arrested at the Canadian border trying to flee. Voice analysis confirmed he'd made the threatening call, allegedly at his brother's request. The conspiracy charges upgraded everything to federal crimes. But the real revolution happened in the halls of Westfield High. The next morning, Rory arrived to find the school transformed. Dozens of girls had cut their hair in solidarity, sporting everything from pixie cuts to buzz cuts. Ice Queen Army t-shirts appeared seemingly overnight. The hierarchy that had protected predators for years crumbled in days. "This is incredible," Maya said, filming the scene for what would become a documentary about the case. Rory touched her own newly shorn hair, now styled in a fierce asymmetric cut that made her look like a warrior. "It's just the beginning." Coach Daniels waited by her locker, a small smile on his weathered face. "Heard you had some trouble yesterday." "Nothing I couldn't handle," Rory said, returning the smile. I also heard you showed remarkable restraint. Tyler's injuries, while dramatic, were all superficial. You could have really hurt him. We learn to fight so we don't have to. Rory quoted, but when we do have to fight, we fight to protect. He finished. You protected your friend? You protected yourself. And now you're protecting others. I'm proud of you. Aurora. Ethan Chen appeared through the crowd, looking slightly nervous. Hey, Rory, I know things are crazy right now, but I was wondering, would you maybe want to grab coffee sometime? When you're not, revolutionizing the entire school system? Rory Laffita, real laugh. Free and unguarded. Sure, but you're buying. Apparently, I'm going to need a legal defense fund. Actually, Jennifer Chen said, appearing with her signature predatory smile, the Morrisons just settled. Turns out, they'd rather pay quietly than face federal charges. You're not only free and clear, you're set for college. The numbers she showed them made everyone gasp. Justice, it seemed, could be quite profitable. Weeks turned to months. Tyler eventually returned to school, a different school, in a different state, under court supervision. Jake and Connor took plea deals. Arthur Morrison's business empire imploded under federal investigation. Westfield High implemented sweeping reforms, with mandatory training on consent and bystander intervention. And Rory? She became something she'd never wanted to be. Famous. The girl who'd spent years trying to be invisible was now a symbol. News outlets called her for interviews. Colleges offered scholarships. Publishers wanted her story, but the fame came with a price. Not everyone appreciated what she'd done. There were still those who thought she'd gone too far, that she should have found a nicer way to handle things. Death threats arrived mixed with fan mail. Protesters occasionally appeared at school, calling her everything from a hero to a terrorist. You okay? Maya asked one afternoon, finding Rory alone on the roof, their new lunch spot away from the crowds. I never wanted this, Rory admitted, looking out over the town that had become her battlefield. I just wanted to be left alone, but they wouldn't leave you alone, Maya pointed out. And now, because of you, they'll leave other girls alone. Maybe. Rory touched her short hair, still getting used to its fighter's length. Coach Daniels says the real victory isn't in the win, it's in the walking away whole. Are you whole? Rory considered the question. She thought about the girl she'd been scared, hidden, diminished. Then she thought about who she was becoming: strong, visible, unafraid to take up space. I'm getting there, she said finally. The girl laughed through her tears, and Rory saw herself not the frightened girl she'd been but the warrior she'd become. As she walked off the stage, Ethan waited with coffee and a proud smile. Maya had her camera, documenting everything for the movie that would eventually win a Student Academy Award. Coach Daniels nodded his approval from the back row. Even her mother had taken a rare day off to be there. But the most important person in the audience was Rory herself, no longer hiding, no longer afraid, no longer needing her ice blonde armor. She'd been broken and remade, cut down and risen up. The ponytail was gone, but the girl who'd hidden behind it had been replaced by something far more powerful, a young woman who knew her worth and wasn't afraid to fight for it. The Ice Queen was dead. Long live Aurora Winter's warrior, survivor, and proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't living well, it's living free.